no matter where you're at in real estate, whether you're brand new or you think you're like the top of the top, there's always somebody behind you coming up, and there's always somebody ahead of you that you want to head towards,
Yep.
right? So you have to always know that, because no matter like where I'm at right now, I'm always helping people that want to have zero deals.
You're listening to the We Love Equity Real Estate Show, a podcast that discusses the intricacies of real estate investing with your host, Marcus E. Maloney. Marcus is a real estate investor best known for being the equity king. He's been awarded that moniker because he and his team find amazing real estate deals. He will be talking with investors who have done some transformational things in the real estate industry. They'll discuss their process, their strategies, and how their investments transform their lives and the communities they invest in. We welcome you to the We Love Equity Real Estate Show.
The We Love Equity Show is brought to you by REIA, widely recognized as an outstanding resource for real estate investors with exceptional education, networking, and support, along with profit-enhancing benefits and all aspects of real estate investing. Visit REIA at www.asrea.org. That's visit REIA at www.azreia.org. Hey, welcome. We Love Equity Real Estate family. How are you guys doing today? Today, I have a very special guest. I have Jiries Dawaher, who hails from Cincinnati, Ohio. He's a Midwest boy, like I'm a Midwest boy. He's just a couple of states over east from Illinois, where I grew up from. And he has started real estate investing about 10 years ago. So we're going to take a moment and go through his journey, because I want you all to understand where you start does not necessarily mean where you need to end. So if you started in one aspect of real estate, doesn't mean that you need to stay in that area or in that sector. So we're going to take some time with Jiries today. We're going to talk about a few different things. So Jiries, man, how are you doing today?
I'm doing awesome, man. Just hanging out the office, trying to get a couple projects wrapped up and just start the week off right.
All right, man. Thank you for being here, man. Thank you for being with us. As you guys can hear, I have a little cold, but we're going to push through and we're going to get everything done, because me and Jiries, we've been trying to do this podcast for a couple of months now, but now is the right time. So God willing, we're going to make it through it. So Jiries, tell us, man, give us your background. What did you do before real estate investing?
So, I mean, I've done everything. So a little background about my high school and everything. So I graduated high school in 2002. And I was not a good student, right? I felt like I tried. I thought that I, applied myself, and I did really good in like business classes, went to state championships, state tournaments for different kind of entrepreneurial things. But at the end of the day, I got my transcript and my GPA was a 1.53. And I graduated 311 out of 320 kids, 9 from the bottom. So I was doing just an exit thing with my guidance counselor, right? At high school, and he asked me what I wanted to do after high school. So I said what everybody says, right? The right answer. I'm like, I want to go to college. And he looked at me and he's like, well, do you have any more realistic expectations? So I was like, man,
wow.
I guess I can't go to college. That's crazy. So I did what anybody would do, and I went, across the hall and signed up with the Army recruiter. So I joined the Army for 10 years.
Okay.
So I was actually in the Army for 8 years. I was in the National Guard for 8 years as a helicopter mechanic and a diesel mechanic. So I did that part-time in the National Guard, 1 weekend a month, but whenever I had opportunities to go other places, I would go like on any of the missions or any of the little deployments or whatever they needed help with as a mechanic, it was awesome. It was a great opportunity to learn and make some extra money. But all while I was doing that, I was also in this little thing called network marketing, which I'm sure a lot of us have heard about. It's the big pyramid things. And
yep.
I got hooked, right? They explained this to me. They're like, you get paid on what you do, and we were doing long distance, and if you sell this would happen. You can build a team. And I was like, I loved everything they were talking about building a team, passive income, getting paid for what I put in, and all of that stuff. It all just sounded perfect to me. It sounded exactly like what I wanted. So I went all in, and I racked up about $80,000 in credit card debt and destroyed my credit over about 5 years.
Wow.
pretending to be like this amazing network marketer, basically, right? And all while I was just like being being broke, right? Doing everything they said, going to all these conferences, doing all this and that, and it just didn't work for me. Like it just didn't work. So I finally was just like, I can't do this anymore. I was getting ready to get out of the National Guard, and I had a friend of mine who lived in Hilton Head, South Carolina, and he's like, hey man, do you want to come down and live here? I'm going to get a 2-bedroom apartment, and I can't really afford it, but I can with a roommate. So I ended up going down to Hilton Head, South Carolina, moving in with him, and was bartending. So I bartended for about 3 years after the military, and I loved it. It was awesome. It was such a good time. The whole island is amazing. The whole place is great, but it's just not a long-term thing. I mean, working super late nights and, you know, drinking every day, like it just catches up to you.
Yeah.
And all in that time, I had a friend in Cincinnati still. I was kind of like watching him on Facebook, and we still talk back and forth. And he's like, and he was in network marketing with me. And he's like, man, he's like, you got to come back to Cincinnati. He's like, I'm doing this thing up here. It doesn't take any money. All you have to do is put your time in. It's wholesaling real estate. You know, you can do it. You can do it. And it's about 6 months. He's been like telling me like, you got to come up. You got to do this. You got to do this. And I'm like, oh, whatever, man. Like, this is network marketing. It's never as good as they say it is, right? It's never that easy. And then he sent me a picture of a brand new Audi he bought, and something, and it was like maybe a watch or something else. And I was like, how'd you get that? And he's like, I'm telling you, man, this is real deal. Like, you can really make money doing this. And I'm like, I don't really have any money. He's like, I'm telling you, you don't need money. You don't need anything. So I was finally like, you know what? Let's do this. Let's go do this. So in about 2010-ish, 2011, I ended up packing up from South Carolina and moving to Cincinnati. So moved to Cincinnati to start phase 1 of real estate, right? And whenever I talk real estate with people, like when I tell people like I've been on every aspect of real estate, I'm going to take you through that journey in the next few minutes, basically. But every single step that I took was so important to getting to the next step, and it taught me so much to keep me going and to keep me growing. So I come to Cincinnati. I have no idea what to expect. Nothing. I don't know the city. I grew up in Canton, about 4 hours north of Cincinnati. Grew up in Canton, but I knew Cincinnati was like a hot market, and it was going to be cool, you know, a good place to be. So I get there, and he's like, this is what we do. He's like, we're wholesaling houses. I was like, that's awesome. I'm going to do it. I'm going to be the best at it. What is it? Like, what is wholesaling housing? What do you
So you moved from Hilton Head, South Carolina, back to Cincinnati, not knowing what wholesaling is, not knowing what you were going to be doing, but you just took the risk and jumped out there and did it.
Yeah, you had to. I mean, I've seen it firsthand, him making money and stuff. And I was super skeptical because I'm like, how do you make money not even like selling houses, but you're not selling houses and you don't have enough money to buy these? Like, I don't even understand how this works. So I'm like, but at the time I was kind of just like burnt out. I'm like, I got to try something. I got to do something different. So I get up there, and he's like, and he has like an office now. He's got like 4 guys there, right? Including him. And he's like, this is an acquisition person, and I want you to be a salesperson with this other salesperson, and we're going to sell houses. So basically, wholesaling is where you find a property that's that needs work, undervalued, that you can put a little bit of money into and sell it, and then somebody can sell it. But basically, you don't put any money into it. So let me
go ahead. Take your time. Clarify.
Let me explain that again better. Basically, wholesaling is finding an undervalued asset and then charging an investor a fee for finding that asset for them. So, for example, like we'd find a single family or 2 family that needed work. We would put it under contract for $55,000, and then we would sell it to an investor for $60,000, and we would charge like a $5,000 assignment fee, and we would do that 50, 60, 100 times a year, over and over again. So basically, and what you'll realize as you move on through your real estate journey, whether you're brand new, especially for brand new people, is that time is so important. So me right now where I'm at, like I've got 50 units, about 27 houses, and some other stuff we can get into. I don't want to go look for deals. Like I don't have time. Like I'm gladly pay somebody a reasonable fee to find me properties. And honestly, the fee doesn't even matter as long as the numbers make sense. I don't care if they make 5,000 or 50,000. It does not matter as long as the numbers make sense.
Okay. So you move to Cincinnati. Tell us about that first deal. How did it come about? What did you guys do? What kind of marketing were you doing in order to find these deals?
So I'm old school. So my very first deal is actually something that definitely stuck with me for a while because it kind of gave me like a name in the office, I guess. But I get up there and the marketing we were doing was bandit signs. That was pretty much it for selling and finding the deals. And acquisitions, there's a little bit more too we did. But this first deal specifically, he's like, you're brand new. He's like, your best way to build a buyer's list is to throw bandit signs. And I was like, okay. And there's just a stack of signs there. And I think at the time they were like 60 cents. Now they're like $1 a sign for stakes and signs, which is still a deal. You know, invest $500 in some signs. But he's like, the more signs you put out, the more houses you're going to sell. And I was like, it can't be that simple. And he's like, yeah, I'm telling you, you put these signs out and you're going to sell these houses. And I'm like, okay, but like, what about these other people? They're not even putting signs out. I'm like, what are they doing? He's like, well, they're not selling houses. And I was like, okay, let me just take his word for this. So I wrote 200 signs, handyman special, Deer Park, $44,000, whatever it was, with my big phone number on the bottom. 200 signs, went out and blasted 200 signs all around Cincinnati. And the first time I did it, it was completely wrong because I put 200 signs all around the specific area where this house was. And first reason that's wrong is because it wasn't really like a super affluent area. It was a good area. It was like a good first time home buyer area. But people in that neighborhood didn't necessarily have an extra $50,000-$60,000 to pay cash for that house.
Okay. So let me. So so this was on the disposition side, not the acquisition side, correct?
Yes. Yeah. This was on the sale side.
Okay. So just so you guys understand, he were doing bandit signs. They already had the property under contract. They were looking to sell it, dispo it. So he was putting out the bandit signs saying that they had this property for sale. Okay. Go ahead, Jerry.
Yep. So then later I learned, like as in like the next week, I learned when I was getting a bunch of phone calls from unqualified people. And when you're wholesaling, an unqualified person is somebody that cannot pay cash. You need cash. They got to pay cash. When they call and say, hey, I saw your sign. I'm about the property in Deer Park. Can you tell me about it? Well, great. First, let me ask you something. Do you have your financing lined up ready for this house? And it's almost like a trick question when I ask them that because I want the answer to be, oh, I don't need financing. I have cash. Because basically, if they say anything other than cash, they're not going to be able to buy the house. But I ended up just blasting these signs all over where the money is in Cincinnati, right? It's like around 275 Loop, where all the people that like work for Procter & Gamble, just sell a lot of people with more money live. So I blasted about 200 signs. So I put about 400 signs in my first deal, and finally I sell it. I sell it in my first week. And then we sold it, and the profit on it was about $8,000 on that specific deal. Everybody in the office was like, because they knew that we were friends from before, the person on the company, and they're like, you just gave him that lead. And we're like, nobody gave me anything. I came in here and did the work and did exactly what they said.
Right.
And I put the signs out. So from that point forward, I was just destroying it, doing like between 2 to 3 houses a month, which was really good for me coming from what I was doing and making, we were splitting profit too. So making over $10,000 a month within my first 30 days of getting into wholesaling.
Okay. So let's go back. So your friend, he has this company, he already has the acquisition team, everything like that. So they have the deals that's coming in. You were brought in to help move these deals, to dispo these deals. Okay. Yep. So your first deal was strictly a dispo.
Yep.
Okay. All right. And you disposed the property by using bandit signs. So what has changed now? So, well, before we even get to that. All right. So you were doing, about 2 to 3 deals a month, 10,000 K a month. What happened after that? Were you strictly on the dispo side, or did you ever go to the acquisition side?
I did. So basically what happened about a year and a half into the working with a friend of mine, I was responsible for selling 90% of the houses we sold on the disposition side. And basically something happened. It's a long story, but basically I'm like, hey, I want to take partnership in this company. Like I'm like running everything. I'm training new salespeople. Like within a year, I'm just bringing people in and helping this. And we just decided it was just better if I kind of left and started my own company. So I ended up starting my own wholesale company with a similar structure, but I went and started my own company. And then I put together the acquisition side and the sales side for my new wholesale company.
Okay.
So I did that. That was about 2 years after. So we did that. And I would basically teeter on selling, acquisitions, and then running the company. And a really good friend of mine, Tyler, was an acquisition expert. Like he was, when it came to find properties, he was one of the best. And we kind of just stuck to that. Like he really took the acquisition side. I took the sales side. Not to say that I didn't bring deals in, because I did, but it's just so much easier when you're working with a team and, teams and partners. I always tell people you've got to have clear defined roles, right? If Tyler could stay and live and dominate the buy side of stuff, and I know I could stay and dominate the sell side of stuff, we would be unstoppable. And we were. And it was him and I basically went on and built a team of about 6 people, and we were finding properties. I mean, we were doing MLS deals that were just listed that we would get to before anybody else. And we had relationships with agents because they knew who we were, that we said we were going to do. We closed everything we said we were going to. We did abandoned signs, driving for dollars, postcards, stickers. I mean, every single way you could think of to get properties, we were out there getting them. And we were doing over 100 deals a month or 100 deals a year.
So let's, for a second, Jiries, because I don't want to gloss over this. So you left the other company and you went and started your own, right? Did you have any marketing or acquisition experience? Because you were just primarily on the Dispo side in that company, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so what did you do in order to ramp up to get your business going? Because you still had to bring deals in.
Yeah, I did. I'm honestly, so much of selling deals really mirrors finding them. There's a lot of similarities. It's just you change a few words around, right? Like when I was putting signs out that said handyman special, whatever, or investor special, my new sign said cash for your house, close 30 days, right? And then I would always stop. A source of investors that I found really great way to do it was I would go and find houses with dumpsters in it, dumpsters in the driveway. And this was back when, I mean, still lots of people are doing houses, but whenever there's dumpsters in the driveway, I would go and just see a house being rehab and go talk to somebody.
Yeah.
So instead of talking to the investor or finding the investor working on the house, I would find the house with overgrown grass, the gutter falling down, flat tire in the driveway, mailbox overflowing with letters. And instead of talking to somebody, I would put a sticker on the door, or put a sticker on the house. Hey, my name is Jiries. I want to buy this house, pay cash, close in 30 days, let me know. So I'd sticker it. So I just took a lot of my sales tactics and just rolled those over into the acquisitions. So that's and people still knew who I was, because also too, I had a pretty good reputation for selling houses for people.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so you're having success doing your own thing with your own partner, building your own business. What was next? What came after that? So you're building this wholesale company. You're doing about 100 deals a year. What was next after that? How did you scale to get to that 100 deals a year? Because there's a lot of people that's they're in that position right now where they may be a solopreneur. They're doing everything. They're doing the direct mail or making all of the phone calls, then going out, driving a property, meeting with the seller, then trying to sell a deal. How do you go from being that one person to saying, okay, well, I need to build out this team?
First, I mean, you just got to decide that's the route you want to go, right? And we knew we wanted. Well, I knew basically when I left, I wanted to have a team for wholesaling, and I just grinded. I worked 80 hours, and then people see that, right? I connected. I was at all the REIA meetings. I was at all these meetups. I was at all these things, and people are just like, "Man, Jiries is out there doing all these deals. He's killing it. I just want to be around him." So I'm like, "All right, I could use some help. I want you to learn how to sell." So they're like, "Can we come work for you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, add a piece here, add a piece there." And it happens organically. Just like so much of real estate is like you do this business and you're out there working and grinding and things happen. And we're in an industry where we eat what we kill. We don't get paid just for showing up. I don't get paid for just driving around. And I get paid, the money I make today and tomorrow comes off of the effort and the work I put in last month, the month before, 3 months before that, sometimes a year before that. So just being out there and being active in the business just keeps you really excited and motivated, and people see that, and that's contagious. and that's energetic, and they want to be around it, and they want to be around you, and they want to learn, because no matter where you're at in real estate, whether you're brand new or you think you're like the top of the top, there's always somebody behind you coming up, and there's always somebody ahead of you that you want to head towards, right? So you have to always know that, because no matter like where I'm at right now, I'm always helping people that want to have 0 deals, right? That want to get started. I have no problem helping them, taking under my wing. They come follow me around. But then also on the other side is looking up. I have awesome mentors and awesome friends. My really good friends, Nate and Mike, are just buying hotels and doing $100 million developments now. So it's just being there, and the team comes together. And we had the team about 6 years together as core group. Okay. And my big thing that I take away from that, and I'll get into it too, is like, now I have a wholesale course, right? Teaching people exactly what I do, what I did and everything. But my thing is, I want people to not make the same mistake I did. I stayed at wholesale land way too long. I wholesaled for 6 years when I could have done it for like 2 or 3 and then moved into being an investor. Because at the end of the day, when I sold a house as a wholesale house, I was unemployed, right? I had nothing. I was back for the next one. And you don't build wealth, and you don't grow equity, you don't get any upside, there's no appreciation when you're not adding units, right? When you're not really growing a portfolio. So we wholesaled for 6 years. And in that span of 6 years, my really good friend Nate, who I said is like above me, Nate and Mike were doing—
Hold on, Jiries, let's go back, because you said something that was very key. And I was like, you could have just wholesaled for 2 or 3 years versus 6 years, and really would have been an investor versus doing one deal and then doing another deal, because that's not truly investing. And a lot of people make that misconception, and they believe, well, as long as I'm being a wholesaler, I'm investing. Actually, you're not. You're being a salesperson, because if you don't close another deal, if you don't do another sale, you don't eat. Kind of go through that dichotomy, that shift of when you said, all right, the light clicked on and you said, okay, I got to do something different, because yes, this is working, we're making good money, but did something happen to where you say, okay, maybe the deal flow slowed down or something, or you just said, you know, we got to pivot and we got to start doing something else?
So it kind of goes back to my network marketing days, right? Where you look at Robert Kiyosaki cash flow quadrant, and you know, you've got your business owner, self-employed, and then you own the system. And I was basically a business owner, right? And if I didn't show up and do the deals, I wouldn't get paid. But I really wanted to get on the other side of the cash flow quadrant and get that residual income, where you get paid no matter what. So, and I knew real estate was a way to do it. And then I started seeing really firsthand, a lot of my investors are just buying and holding these properties, and they're buying and holding and buying and holding. And I'm over here just trying to find the next deal, And I just knew that I couldn't always be trying to find the next deal. So at some point I needed to just take a bet on myself, right? I mean, wholesaling allowed me so many things. It allowed me to find out what a good deal looks like.
Yep.
Where deals come from, how to talk to the investors, because I'm talking to a lot of investors too that are lending money to some of the other investors, right? So I'm meeting people that way and learning the lingo and just connected around that. It taught me all of these things. And then the biggest thing it taught me was how to get out of wholesaling, right? Because I had all these people that I've seen doing this, and it just had to happen. The deal flow didn't slow down. I just decided to turn more into an investor. And my good friend Nate's like, man, you need to be looking for rental properties. Because at the time we were wholesaling, but anytime we had a big apartment, they always came from our friends like Nate and Mike, and they'd be like 24 units, whatever, and we'd make awesome money on them. But then some of them they would just keep, and I'm like, why are you guys keeping them? And they're like, well, it's good upside. And they really kind of gave us a little push to get into buy and hold.
Okay, perfect. And that's the key thing about having investors that's above you, because they can look at you and say, okay, you're really good at this, but there's another opportunity here for you. And they'll start giving you that little shove, that little push to move you to the next step in your career, which is very, very good, because if you stay in wholesaling too long, again, how many of those deals you wish you would have kept?
So there isn't a time I drive around where I don't point a house out like, man, I sold that for 40. Well, it's probably worth like 190 right now. I sold that 8 unit. It's just happened the other day. there was an 8-unit I sold, and I sold it for 110,000, and I made 9,000 on the wholesale deal. That same apartment building is pending on the MLS today in Cincinnati for $599.
Yeah.
That's you don't get rich selling real estate. If you're gonna take one thing away from this, from all of this, any of the viewers, anybody, is you don't get rich selling real estate. You buy it and keep it. You keep it no matter what. It's where the wealth is created. It just makes the most sense.
There you go. There you go. So on that note, let's take a brief break, hear a word from our sponsors. We'll be back with Jiries, and then we want to talk about holding on to that real estate, how you transition into that. So let's take a brief break, hear a word from our sponsors, and we will be right back.
PropStream is the industry's #1 tool for locating distressed properties and connecting with highly motivated sellers. With 100% coverage across the U.S., PropStream provides a deep dive into any property's specific details, making it easy to generate lists of distressed properties and contact to the owners. No other product or service can compare. Gain access to MLS property details like expired listings. You can pull accurate comps, even sale prices in non-disclosure states. This information is typically reserved for licensed real estate professionals, but it is also available to you in PropStream. Gain access to unlimited nationwide property search, comparable home sales, targeted marketing lists, and owner contact lookup, built-in marketing tools, hundreds of filters to search and sort leads. Start your free 7-day trial now by going to proud.propstreampro.com/WeLoveEquity.
All right, we are back with Jiries, and Jiries is from Cincinnati. And earlier in the show, we was talking about just wholesaling, how Jiries got started. And then the light bulb went off, because of some pushing from mentors, friends, and other people around him saying, hey, why are you getting rid of all of these deals? You need to be holding on to some of these. So Jiries, tell us about the first property you decided to hold. Why did you decide to hold that property?
So this situation is a little different. So my first property is it was a house was. All right, let me start from the beginning. This is going to take a minute, but we can we can get into it. So this is the real story. So we wholesaled a house in like an A+ area of Cincinnati. We sold this house for $140,000 to one of our good repeat investors, and she was going to flip it. In the meantime, she was finishing up another house in a really nice part of Cincinnati, and basically she was 99% done, and the furnace went out over the weekend, and then the pipes burst and flooded the entire house that she was about to list. So she called us back and said, Jiries, I need to sell this property that I just bought from you guys. Can you wholesale for me again? And I was like, yeah, that shouldn't be an issue. That's fine. And at this time, I'm renting an apartment. So we try wholesaling this house, and nobody would buy it. We couldn't sell it again. It's in an A+ area. Nobody would buy it. And I just blew my mind. I'm like, I don't understand. So basically I told her, I'm like, so the bank didn't know at this point, an individual did. So I knew I could get financing for it.
Right.
So I asked her if I could just buy it and live in it, and essentially house hack it, right? Basically where I live in it, and I'll rent out a couple of bedrooms, or how you do house hack multifamilies. You buy a 4-unit using a 3% down conventional loan or FHA loan, and then you rent out to the other units. So basically I bought this house. I bought the house back from her for $147,000. And over the course of the next 6-7 months, I was wholesaling deals and then putting money in this house to fix it up. So I fixed it up, and by the time it was done, it was worth $300,000, and I bought it for $145,000. So I had about $100,000 equity line. So I pulled a line of credit against it. A HELOC, home equity line of credit. That is essentially a credit card against your house, right?
Yep.
I added so much value. I fixed the house up. I was able to get about $100,000. It ended up being $130,000. So I had that, and I'm like, we're ready to go. So
your initial financing, was it from the seller, or you went to? Okay, there you go.
Yep,
All right.
Yep, I got my VA loan. So I put down 3% on $150,000. It's like $4,500. Not a lot of money. It's still doable today. I know prices are more expensive. I know everything's a lot more, but I really think one thing we need to be teaching people is, like, right out of high school, instead of going to college, save 3% and house hack something. Just save $10,000 and buy something for $300,000. And if you're in a market where you can't do that, then move to one where you can. Like, it's such a powerful tool. House hacking, just your very first deal, and it's just the amount of wealth you can get it just doesn't stop. It keeps compounding.
Yeah, and it just really starts you off on the right track, because you start off going right into ownership, and then not only ownership, but now you're an investor, you know, beginning, because now you have people where you're living for free and people are paying you to live in that house or room with you, and you're building wealth immediately.
Yeah, I mean, your appreciation about 5% a year, and then every time you make a mortgage payment, you're paying down 5% principal reduction. So that's like 10% a month. And I mean, after 4 or 5, 6, 7 years, that's a ton of money. Stuff adds up really, really fast.
Yep.
So now we had this money. I had this money, and my partner that I did a ton of wholesaling with had some money too. So we're going to find our first investment properties. So we ended up buying these 2 properties in Mount Healthy in Cincinnati. And that's like a suburb, like way outside of Cincinnati. Nothing going on there. There were 3 bed, 1 bath, ranched on a slab. So we bought them, and we were like, yeah, we're going to be rich. This is awesome. So I called my friend Nate. I'm like, hey, we just bought these 2 houses. And Nate's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, we're buying houses, we're buying properties. He's like, no, you can't buy there. He's like, there's no growth, there's no jobs, there's nothing happening there. Nobody's going to be there. Like, the area's not that good. Like, it's not going to be any better. Next year or the year after, there's nothing happening. And I was like, well, what do you want me to do? And he's like, you gotta buy somewhere different. Like, you gotta buy in the city. You gotta look where the jobs are. You gotta look where things are happening and whatever else. So I basically sold my interest in those properties to my partner. Then I got my money back. And then I found a deal in this part of Cincinnati called the Incline District. And at the time, nobody would go to the Incline District, even though with the help of my friend Nate, he was telling me about it and what's going on there. It had just got deemed entertainment district in Cincinnati, which means that they were given 5 liquor licenses to bring in new restaurants, and some kind of growth. And it was up and coming big time. But at the time, people didn't really see that. So
So the path of progress, you were looking at the path of progress, which is good, which is really good.
Yeah. So I ended up finding a wholesale deal up there that I bought. I ended up wholesaling it to myself. So I bought the property for $17,500, or I got it under contract for $17,500, and then I charged myself a $5,000 assignment fee. And just because when you're getting started in your wholesaling, like, that money coming in from wholesale deals kind of helps pay the bills while you're for the
keep food on the table. Yep.
Exactly. So I bought it for $17,500, and then I put about $125,000 into it. So I was into the whole deal for about $150,000. So but then before I even put any money into it, I bought the property, and there was actually a restaurant that just opened right across the street from this house, almost directly across the street. Had awesome views of downtown Cincinnati. So I took an Uber up to this restaurant right after I closed on it, and the Uber driver was like, well, good luck finding an Uber home from here. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, why? He's like, well, Ubers don't come to this part of the neighborhood. I'm like, what do you mean they don't come? He's like, there's a lot of crime here and it's dangerous. And I'm like, no, they have to come. Like, I just spent all my money on an investment property here. Like, it has to be a good area. But he was right. An Uber didn't come. I had to call an Uber black card to get a ride home. So it ended up being this whole thing. But I basically bought that property, put that money into it as a 3 unit, and was about into it for about $150,000. And it was essentially my first BRRRR, my first buy, renovate, rent, refinance, repeat. My first BRRRR, without knowing what a BRRRR was. It was just kind of what I was doing, right? So I bought it. I was into it for $150,000 with all my own cash, between my home equity line of credit and just cash that I had put in from wholesaling and just putting more money in the house. So I went to the bank and I'm like, please give me a loan for this. And they're like, all right, cool. We'll get an appraisal and see what it comes back at. So we got an appraisal. The appraisal came back at $135,000.
Wow.
$15,000 less than what I and then of that, the bank gives you back 75% of that, which ends up being about $101,000. So I had $101,000 back, but I was in this house for like 150. So like I left about 50 grand in the deal. And all while that was happening, and I was renovating, rehabbing the street, and I was still out in this neighborhood, just stickering houses, driving for dollars, sending out letters, just connecting with neighbors, seeing what's going on. And I took this money, this $101,000, and I did what I should have done the first time, is I leveraged it. So basically, I had relationships with hard money lenders I'd met through REIA, and I'd met through other investors that I was wholesaling houses to, because I would meet their lenders as well. And I told them, basically, I I told this lender that I built an awesome relationship with, I still borrow money from to this day. Hey, I've got these other houses that I want to do, and I just want to borrow money from them. So I took this $100,000 and leveraged it and was able to do 4 or 5 houses at a time to scale, to start buying more apartments, basically putting down about $15,000 per property and then just refinancing out of them. Now, a big part of the BRRRR method that makes it successful is when you get the money back at closing, right? Because when you get that money back at closing, when you add value to that property, you get it back tax-free because it's debt. Yep. You're basically taking on a mortgage, so you can't be taxed on debt. So on my journey in the Incline District, this was about 4 years into my wholesaling. So I still had about 2 years left of wholesaling. I wasn't really getting money back on the BRRRR stuff, right? I was maybe getting back like 5,000, 6,000, and sometimes just breaking even on the BRRRR thing. But I knew the area was up and coming, and I knew there was a better upside, and I just knew it was going to happen. So I look up, like 2 years has gone by, and then I was up to like 30 some units in this neighborhood. Wow! And that's when I was like, I'm not going to wholesale anymore. I'm better off managing my properties better, really coming up with better systems, and just spending more time on the properties and growing and scaling the whole rental business. So that's what I did. That's when we kind of called it quits, got to 30 units, and just decided, just kind of like disassembled the team. Kind of was like, guys, and I was flipping a couple houses too here and there too to make money. And those houses I probably should have kept as BRRRRs as well. But my strategy at the time, I mean, it still is basically today too, for the most part, is like I don't want any single family rentals, even though I have like 8 of them. But I just like two units, 4 units, like stuff like that's really nice, and it's easy to scale that.
Yeah, and it limits the risk. One of the things that I always tell people, yes, having single family houses, seem to be easy. You got one roof, you got one furnace, everything like that. But the thing about it is you have one tenant. When that tenant leaves, you have 100% vacancy versus if you have a 4 unit, one tenant leave, the other 3 are there. Okay, now you're only 25% vacant versus 100% vacant. So no, I completely get it. So you guys that's listening out there, if you're looking at being a landlord, probably look at 2 units, 3 units, 4 units on up, unless you just have a thing for single family houses.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that. And like what a lot of people don't understand is like, it is the cost of turning an apartment for a small landlord. Like I say I have 50 units now, I'm still a small landlord, but there's a huge cost in that. The apartment stays, you evict somebody, you have to get rid of a tenant. They're gone, you lose a month there. And then you got to spend 2 weeks turning it. So you lose a couple weeks there. Then you got to market it. Then you lose a couple weeks there. And then you rent it. Best case scenario, you get somebody to move in the next day, like, which doesn't always happen. I mean, it's about a 3-month swing, and that's a big deal when you're getting going.
Absolutely. So Jiries, what are you doing now? Because I know you said you have the 50 units. So you leverage that $100,000 to get up to 50 units. And that was one through your relationships. And now you constantly speak of the REIA. Why was the REIA so important for you and help push you along your journey?
Man, you just get connected with like-minded people, right? You're just around people that are doing the business, that are learning, that want to see people succeed. It's just it's just a really great tool just to be around people that want to teach. It's just good to be around these kind of people. Because like I always say, like we have my friend Nate, so my good friend Nate now has an academy for where he teaches BRRRR specifically, and I help him with that.
Okay.
And we do lots of meetups with different people. And I tell everybody, I'm like, guys, we're all in a safe zone right now, right? We're all real estate. We all know what it feels like. We all get the struggles, we get everything. But when we like leave these doors, when we exit here, we're like in the real world. And people think we're crazy. They think we're evil landlords. They think this, they think that. They think real estate's gonna crash. Like we're not in our safe, comfortable place anymore, right? So it's nice to come back and like feel that feeling again and get recharged, right? It's like just because I showered on Monday doesn't mean I'm not gonna shower on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Right. It's only shower on Monday. Like you gotta like bathe yourself in this energy all the time, as often as you can. And one thing you're gonna find too is like your friends are going to be people that are doing this business. Like the friends that you've had before that like you're good friends, like they're still your friends, but like they're just not going to get it, right? They're just not going to get it the way that somebody else is like, man, I just have to drop a 3-day on their door. Like, ooh, that sucks, man. So what are you going to do? I'm like, this. Well, you tell somebody else, I just had to drop a 3-day, and they're like, That's fine. You want to go get some tacos or something, like do
Right. They don't
shots or whatever.
understand
Like,
it.
they
Yeah.
don't care. They don't know what that means next. Like they don't get
Yeah.
the process.
So let me ask you this. Did you ever go through a period of uncertainty going through real estate?
Yeah, I mean, big time. Like when I was buying in that area, like it was just not easy. It was like I wasn't like I was saying, I was wholesaling to get money to come back in, and I couldn't wholesale as much because I was focusing more on certain flips or certain like construction projects. Like, and and when I did wholesale, every penny went back into like these properties. And even though I
Yeah.
was borrowing money from people, I didn't borrow enough money because I never wanted to have to bring money to closing, right?
Hmm.
I was being super, super conservative. And I was still very lucky that I was still wholesaling real estate to do this. And I tell so many people are like, well, I can't buy a rental. I have a full-time job. And I'm like, man, you need to buy rentals because you have a full-time job. You
Right.
have guaranteed income. Like I envy that. Like I was never in a spot where I had that. Like it was so hard. It just was really hard. It just got so
Yeah.
hard so many times. And I just had to push through. I mean, I know the alternative was like get a job, and like I'm probably unemployable. I applied at one point to go work at Dot Loop in Cincinnati or in Zillow, and they never called me back because I just wasn't qualified to do real estate for them. So whatever. So that's
So
fine.
now that was a really good point that you made about having a full-time job, because a lot of people want to get into real estate investing. They say, well, I'm gonna get into that and I'm gonna go full-time, I'm gonna quit my job and everything like that. But sometimes it's probably best to start part-time because you have that full-time job, you have that W-2 income. So now your financing is a little bit easier versus if you're full-time, you got to be creative to get financing because bank's not going to finance
Yeah, big time. Big time. I mean, when I tell people like on my rental loans, I pay 5.5%, whatever it is, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, that's crazy." I'm like, it's just what it like. It's
you.
a
Yeah.
DSCR loan. I mean, these are the loans that you get. But when you're making 25% on a property, 5% is not a big deal. Like they don't look at my tax returns. They don't look at this. Like it's all
Right.
different. It's all just different. So and that's
So
something you
so
learn as you go through it.
explain to the people that don't understand what that type of loan is.
So basically, the DSCR loans are like a debt service coverage loans. So that's where they lend money on the asset, not just the individual. Like they're gonna pull your personal credit. You're gonna want to make sure you're above like a 680, 650,
Hmm.
whatever that certain lender is. But it's basically where they look at the property and they see the cash flow and they want to make sure the cash flow can service the debt at whatever formula they have in place. So it's a loan based on the property more than the individual.
Okay. So if somebody was interested in that, where would they go? Is it like a small bank or is it big banks, Bank of America, or is it private
De-
lenders?
Definitely not Bank of America. Definitely no big banks. That nothing like that. I mean, they're on. There's like, I mean, you want me to name a couple or? I
No, I
mean,
was just because I want people to
the-
understand kind of,
yeah,
is it like a
they're
smaller
out there.
community bank?
No, they're big banks, mostly like online kind of banks that specialize in working with real estate investors. And we can
Okay.
drop some links here to some that we've used. We can talk about it after this, but
Sure.
they're definitely out there. They're definitely out there, but you're not going to go to any brick and mortar banks typically and find banks that will do that. So
Okay.
something to keep
Gotcha.
in mind.
Yep. I just wanted people to understand that there's non-traditional ways to get into real estate to own property versus, all right, I gotta have a 720 credit score. I gotta go to Bank of America, Chase Bank, apply for a loan, submit all of these W-2s and everything like that. There's alternatives out there. And when you're around the right people, you become you gain more wisdom in the arena in which you're working in. So you learn about these different loans, you learn about private money, hard money, things like that. So if you're a novice, you're just getting started, that's why it's important, like Jerry said, go to your REIA. That way you could be around the people that has the experience that's doing it, and they can lead you into the right direction without you paying $50,000, $100,000 for a guru to teach you something that, the REIA can teach you, for a couple of $100 a year.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many good resources, and this also speaking about the lenders is a lender that I used a lot to do my cash out, to actually cash out in the BRRRR side, was a small local lender I met at REIA. So in addition to these big banks that are online doing stuff in unconventional ways, is I also tell people if you can find small local banks too, like any bank that has less than 5 branches, and call and talk to their lending department, and let them know exactly what you want to do. But it's important you know what you're saying. Like, you've got to know what seasoning. You guys have a seasoning period. So what's the seasoning period? Seasoning period is the amount of days you've owned the property, right? Some places need a year of seasoning, so you have to own it for 1 year. Well, that doesn't work if we're trying to BRRRR, because we need to finish this property and keep the money moving. Some places have 60 days, which is fine, because by the time you're done, 60 days is pretty typical to finish the project and be able to BRRRR out of it. But all of that kind of stuff that I didn't really know a ton about, my friend Nate helped me really, really get good and figure it all out. So now I've got these units, right? I've got these 30 units, and I'm kind of figuring out like what to do. Years go by, kind of adding stuff here and there, doing my thing. And then COVID hits, right? Everything kind of stops for a little bit. And I'm kind of like slowed down. I don't really have a ton of stuff going on. And Nate's always been a mentor of mine still to this day. We do tons of stuff. And I call Nate, I'm like, man, Nate, I gotta figure out what to do next. And he's like, well, come over. He's like, bring your schedule of debt, basically all the real estate I own, what I owe on it and everything. So I bring my computer over and we're going over stuff. And at this time I owed about $2 million to the bank for my properties, but they were worth almost $6 million.
Okay.
Nate's like, congratulations. I'm like, what? He's like, brother, he's like, you're a millionaire. And I'm like, what? I'm like, I never really like ever stopped to think about like my equity, right? How the properties have grown, the values, or any of that stuff. And I was like, well, what do I do now? And he's like, you've had these for some of these other ones you've had for about 5 years. And he's like, get the cash out and let's do something bigger. So I ended up bundling about $1 million in loans and got about $500,000 out. And so in my equity. So I took about $500,000 on the first round and went and invested in a hotel. So about a year ago, I bought my first hotel. I bought a Hampton Inn, the Staybridge. So I'm part of the GP, the general partnership of 2 hotels now, which it's like a crazy jump to go from 50 units. Like, you think like you have to have 5,000 units or 1,500 units or whatever to get to this jump, but you don't. It's literally goes back to that saying, is your net worth determines your net worth. And I was just around people that were doing it, and they've seen me go 10 years into the making, right? And basically kind of just like helped me get to this level that I thought was just not real. Like, I knew hotels existed. I didn't know people owned them. Like, I didn't know they were like franchise. Like, I thought they were corporate. I thought this and that. And he's like, because I asked him, I'm like, should I go buy like a 50 unit now or something? He's like, well, why don't you just buy a hotel with us? He's like, we got this really good package we're closing on. And then like 8 hotels right now, they're just killing it. And they're doing big developments in Florida and big developments like just in different parts of the country. And the way I look at it is like, all right, maybe this is the move, because I stayed in wholesale land a little too long. So now if I'm able to like jump the gap from having to buy 50 unit apartments, because eventually you buy these 50 units because you want to scale bigger. Some people do, some people don't, but I definitely do. And I love the idea in the hotel business is there's a management team in place, right? I mean, I'm not going to get calls for faucets. Like, we have an on-staff people that take care of that. There's a GM. There's all these different people that take care of it. Now, the returns are good, but I feel like I've gotten really good returns by myself, but just by me owning my properties. I've never had partners. I've done everything pretty much. So this is kind of like a new venture for me into the hotel world. But I'm doing that, but I'm also still going to add 4 units here, 2 units here, 6 units here, and just keep going and doing what got me there. And at the end of the day, I still left about $2 million in equity in these properties. So maybe in the next
still have
months,
that.
Yeah, I still have that sitting there to figure out where to deploy next whenever the time comes. But that's pretty much, I mean, my progression in real estate has been, in the meantime too, here and there. I actually got my real estate license when I was wholesaling as well, because my philosophy was, and I got it when I started my own company, because when I couldn't negotiate with a seller to buy their house that would make a good wholesale deal, is I offered the seller the option to list their house at 1%, 2%. Because it goes back to the saying I say all the time. It's like, do you want some of the money or none of the money? And back when you're getting going, some of the money is way better than none. So that definitely helped keep me going.
And that's what I tell a lot of people. I say, why not get your license? Because you have another option to provide for the seller. You know, and a lot of people, I don't want to get my license because I don't want to jump through all of the hoops that the brokerage make me go through and everything like that. But just like you said with banks, you know, there's different brokerages. You can go with the big, you know, Keller Williams, Coldwell Banker, everything like that, or you can find a smaller boutique brokerage where they give you that latitude, you know, to where you can do some things creative as long as you're within the Department of Real Estate guidelines. So, Jiries, man, excellent show, excellent show. I mean, we went from wholesaling to 30 units to, you know, investing in an area that was appreciating, up and coming, to hotels, man. So we talked about what you were doing next. What we want to do right now, man, we want to put you on the hot seat. We're gonna put Jiries on the hot seat real quick. So Jiries, starting over, what would you do differently?
I would have searched for like a mentor sooner. I would have carried my philosophy that I have now, is always have somebody you want to work towards being like, and then always have somebody that you're helping get to where you're at. I would have dove into my community, my real estate community, way deeper, way faster. It's such an important network to be in.
Perfect. And a lot of people, you know what, when I ask this question, that's one of the main things that people say is, I would have hired a mentor or a coach a lot sooner than what I did. Okay, great. What is your greatest commodity outside of capital? What's your greatest resource?
I mean, time.
Okay, time. All right. What is one thing you can do to be more productive so you can get some of that time?
Delegate.
All right.
Get better at delegating. And one thing that I've gotten a lot better at too is only doing like hell yeah deals. Like when I walk into a place that I want to buy to keep as a rental, like if I'm not instantly like, I have to have this, if I don't feel that like gotta get it feeling, then I'm just not buying it, because I gotta get that feeling of like, I gotta have this.
Gotcha. All right. What drives your ambition? Because you seem to be a very ambitious guy.
Man, I just want to leave something, just leave something big. Like my family came here from Jordan with nothing, like 1978. And like I always say, like they didn't come here just to be like, for us to just be average, right? Like my dad worked 3 jobs nonstop. My mom always like worked, did all this stuff. And it's like, if I was just like some big loser that did like nothing, right? And that didn't make like a huge impact. Not saying like, you know, in a negative way or anything like that, but if I was just like a drunk or just an idiot that just took advantage of that, like if I didn't do that, then all of what they did would be for nothing, right? So I just got to leave something bigger than what I was given. And just like my son, like I hope he leaves something bigger than what he was given, and you continue to give back and do that kind of stuff too.
Great. All right. What do you believe is your greatest challenge, if it's internal or external?
So honestly, sometimes it could be like staying motivated can kind of be tough sometimes, because like you're not, especially like when I worked my best when I was like hungry, right? My back was against the wall and stuff like that. And sometimes I just find myself like, let's get the office at like 10:30.
Yeah.
Like,
take the day off.
I'll just wait. I'll just do this. Like it's so easy during the summer too, because like, you know, like my son's out of school. So like, and part of the reason, you know, we did this is like you pay the dues, right? You work 10 years, 9 years to do this. So we'll go do pool days and stuff. But yeah, I just have to decide what's next for me. Like I know I'm in the hotels. I'm gonna keep doing that, keep adding stuff. It's like, how fast do I want to scale? But you know, I mean that's the challenging part, is just kind of staying motivated. Because again, in real estate, nobody's gonna make you do anything, right? You work to get paid. Like you have to put in the work to get paid. So the amount you make is a direct proportion of the work you put in.
There you go. So Jiries, man, thank you so much. Excellent show. I know the people got a wealth of information from this, starting from wholesaling all the way up to hotels. You covered a lot, man. How can we find you? How can we reach you if we want some more information?
Basically, I have Instagram, Jiries, JIRIESD. Do a lot of stuff on there. I have a wholesale course. It's not expensive. It's $500, but I teach like all kinds of really cool stuff. A friend of mine, Nate, has a BRRRR course that I help do stuff on, teaches buy and hold method. I think they're both super beneficial. Like you're going to learn a ton from both, but I also have a book, Real Estate Investing 101.
Okay.
So I'm sure we'll drop a link for that on Amazon, but I'm on here, man. I just like to help. Like, that's why I think a big thing of where I see myself 6 to 12 months is just like helping more people do deals. Like I'll continue to do like deals here and there, but I have people that work for me that I help. You know, I helped one guy, Dylan, that works for me, buy his first 2 unit, getting seller financing. He brought $260 to closing and didn't have to put any more money than that to get the deal. But I just love like just helping people get the deals and taking everything that I've learned, all the mistakes I've made and everything, and then just seeing what happens with everybody else.
Perfect. So you guys, you got his Instagram, you got how to get in contact with him. So what you need to do right now is you got the instructions. We need you to apply these instructions and put them into action. So Jiries, I really want to appreciate you being here. Again, thank you so much for taking your time out to be with the We Love Equity Real Estate family on today. And we want to applaud everything that you're doing, man. In 10 years, going from 0 to owning hotels, that's a big step. And you really need to pat yourself on the back and applaud yourself for all of the work that you put in, sir.
Thank you, man. I hope the viewers got a lot of good stuff out of this and know that they can do it. Doesn't always happen overnight, but it happens. I'm telling you, it happens.
All right. So in parting, guys, you know what to do. Always remember to enjoy the journey. All right, guys, that was Jiries Dawaher, and he's from Cincinnati. He really spoke about a lot of good things there, especially how he got started and how he transitioned from wholesaling to buying rentals, to buying multifamilies, to then buying hotels and being a general partner with the hotels. So remember, there's always steps that you need to take. You don't go from one area immediately to the next. There's a gradual progression, and you got to have some patience. You got to have some persistence in order to get there. So what I want to offer you today is we have an opportunity for you to work directly with myself and my partner, Mike Delpreet. We have a course called the W.E.L.L, the Wholesale Equity Learning Lab. So if you want to get started in real estate, you want to get started wholesaling so you can get that journey started, you need to be a part of the Wholesale Equity Learning Lab. We'll make sure we have the links in the show notes. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, remember, always go to marcusemahloney.com. You can schedule a free 15-minute consultation with me. You will be on the phone with me, not a representative, no one else. If you have any questions about getting started in real estate, definitely feel free to pick up the phone, schedule some time with me, and I'll be on the phone with you. So, guys, thank you so much for being a part of the We Love Equity family, and we look to see you around the community even more. Thank you. Thank you for listening to today's show. I picked up some great actionable items, and I'm sure you did as well. If so, let me know. You can always reach me via social media at facebook.com/MRCSMaloney, Twitter at MRCSMaloney, and of course, IG at MRCSMaloney. You can also always reach me via email at mmaloney@equityri.com. Make sure you reach out to our guests as well. You can always find their contact information in the show notes below. If you have not subscribed already, what are you waiting for? Join the family. And while you're at it, leave us a 5-star review. This is how we tell if we're providing you with what you need for your journey. If there's someone you would like for me to interview, or if there's a subject matter you would like for me to cover, please let me know. Finally, if you're looking for additional information about real estate investing, go to equityrealestateblog.com. Also, youtube.com/Marcus Maloney. Until next time, family, always enjoy the journey.